Welcome to Drive Time. Rob and Jenna with you. If last night's college football championship delivered anything, it actually delivered two things. A classic game for the ages, enjoyable for everyone, and really cemented Nick Saban's place in that conversation as maybe the greatest of all time.
Fourth national title in 7 seasons, and of course he also had a national championship at LSU. Every one of his recruiting classes now has won at least one national title. And for me, what really solidified his position as the best in college football and possibly the best of all time. I know he's kind of neck and neck right now with Bear Bryant, but
I don't think so. I mean, when you think about it, not to digress, but Bear Bryant, 5 titles in a much different environment where it was easier for him to recruit, where there wasn't that much competition, and that was over a lifetime. In the modern environment, with all that recruiting competition, Nick Saban's won 5 in a decade.
That's insane. And for me, what really did it was his decision there, because that game was neck and neck, but you really saw statistically, Clemson was just dominating. Alabama, that defense, even though it's a very stout defensive front, their front 7 is just downright nasty, but they couldn't stop Deshaun Watson. And
Best player on the field by far.
So what does Nick Saban do? He calls an onside kick. And the thing is,
in the fourth quarter of a close game.
The fourth quarter of a game that was neck and neck, and it was so perfectly executed. 2 plays later, a 51-yard bomb that was thrown by Jake Coker, who had a tremendous game in his own right, too. I know Deshaun Watson really stole the show as far as his performance, but Coker was able to go out there and deliver there. And then right after that, a 95-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. It just doesn't get any better than that. And really, just that series of events. It started with the onside kick, though momentum just completely swung in the Crimson Tide's favor, and they were able to deliver.
I wouldn't even know how much the momentum swung. It certainly appeared that way, but you got to give Clemson credit. They didn't quit. They kept moving down the field. They kept coming back, but their defense was gassed by the end of that game. They weren't getting a stop. Looking at that onside kick, that decision by Nick Saban, and I think it was Lane Kiffin who said it after the game. And by the way, congrats to Nick Saban for rehabilitating Lane Kiffin. That's another thing that he has done. Yeah, Lane Kiffin said no other coach makes that call because they're afraid of what happens if it doesn't work. But clearly, the special teams coaching scouted something in Clemson. They pulled it out at the right moment, and I'm going to stop for a moment and just use my soccer side for a moment to credit the place kicker. Because you know what? It's hard enough to make that perfect pass, that perfect chip over the wall with a soccer ball. With a football, that's almost impossible to do.
Throw in nerves as well. I mean, let's face it, it's the biggest stage of your whole career. You're never going to probably play in a game bigger than this with so much riding on the line. The execution of it was just textbook, and you saw it on Dabo Swinney's face.
I don't want to bring the Blair Walsh Project into this, but there might be more pressure on that onside kick than making a 27-yard field goal to execute that right. So, congrats to everybody who executed that as well. Great game all the way around. Sorry not more people watched it, but those who did saw an absolute classic and saw the genius of Nick Saban. And you know what? Dabo Swinney's going to learn from that, and he's going to get a lot better.
I have a feeling with the way Clemson has recruited and the way that school has utilized its talent, plus you get Deshaun Watson back, I think that they're going to be back fairly soon. And I will also say this, because now that we're in the era of the college football playoff, you do have to leave some room for the selection committee. And let's face it, sometimes there is human error, but I'm starting to think, just based on what we've seen in recent years, that the humans are much better off getting it right, because there's no doubt in my mind that what we saw last night were, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the 2 best teams in college football. That was an exhilarating game. You had to watch it from start to finish, and you're right, it's a shame that more people didn't tune in, because that game, you really just didn't know which way it was going to go, really, until that onside kick. And even then, even at the very end there, you still felt like Clemson had a chance.
And remember, watch us on live stream on sportstalkflorida.com, or listen to our talk show every day, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 on AM 1040 in Tampa, because I bet you in the coming days, we'll be talking about all those Nick Saban to the pros rumors, which, by the way, are not going to come true.